All right, so let's talk about exactly how forming a partnership completely gets rid of shareholder dilution. Okay, so remember that you are a company, all right, and you have shareholders. Those are the people that are in your family. Those are the people in your circle. Those are your well wishers. Those are the people that have a vested interest in seeing you do well. Okay, those are your shareholders, and of course, those shareholders, they want dividends, and those dividends can take many forms. It can be a simple thank you, right? Can be a dividend. But the point is that you have shareholders, right? And so when you issue shares, all right, what you're really doing is you're issuing a promise. You're saying that, yes, I will do well for you. Yes, when I come up, we all come up. Yes, when I make it, you'll be there too, right? Those are promises. Those are shares in your corporation. Those are shares for your business. So when you issue those shares, okay, what we're talking about here is that if you have one person, that really has your back, and they are your number one cheer leader, okay, and they are the one that's investing time, money, and energy into you, and there's no one else around, right? Well, logic would have it that when you come up, they're going to get a larger portion of the share versus if you had 100 people doing the exact same thing, right? Because if you have 100 people putting in just as much effort, putting in just as much time, putting in just as much money, well, now you owe these people equally. That's what we're saying, right? I mean, of course, you know, life is fuzzy. Everyone doesn't always get equal treatment. It's almost impossible. But we do know that when you have more people to look out for, what you have must be divided. All right. And that's what shareholder dilution is. And the question is how do you as an investor get rid of shareholder dilution? Okay. That's what you don't want. And you can do that by creating a partnership, okay? You are no longer just a shareholder, you are a partner in this business. I liken it to a marriage, honestly, is what I always think about, because in a marriage, we are partners. I am the one that's here for you. Yes, you may have other cheerleaders, but guess what? We're in this together, right? So let's see how a partnership gets rid of shareholder dilution. So we have an example here, a very simple example. Let's say a business is valued at $10,000, and we've already talked about how a number can be put on anything, right? So your earning potential, your assets, your net worth, your credit, your reputation, we can all put a number on that, and we're going to pretend, just for the sake of simplicity, that business is valued at $10,000. All right. So as an investor, if you invest $1,000, you receive 10% ownership, because $1,000 is 10% of 10,000. All right. So what that means is you own 10 shares, right, at $100 a share. Again, just a quick example. If you're a shareholder, okay, same thing applies. The business is valued at $10,000. The company issues 100 shares. You invest $1,000. You get 10 shares. And again, you own 10% of the business. All right. What happens when the company issues 100 more shares? Okay, that means they're bringing on more investors. All right, they're bringing on more well wishers. They're bringing on more help. Okay, so now the company has 200 shares outstanding. They have made promises to more people. Okay, they've literally doubled their amount of shares. Well, as a shareholder, what happens is that now you still own 10 shares at $100 a share, but that's only 5% of the company. Why is that? Because 10 shares divided by 100 shares is 10%. However, 10 shares divided by 200 shares is 5%. I'll do that again. 10 shares divided by 100 shares is 10% of the company. However, 10 shares divided by 200 shares is only 5% of the company. So your ownership in that company has literally dropped by half, just because they brought on more shareholders. However, if you are a partner, okay, it's a little different. The business is valued at $10,000. So, of course, you've invested $1,000. You get 10% ownership. Okay. So you owned 10 shares at $100. But now that there are 200 shares of the company, now you own 20 shares at $50. So instead of 10 shares at $100, you now own 20 shares at $50, which is still 10%. You with me? 20 shares at $50 is $1,000, okay? But it's 20 shares divided by 200 shares, which is 10%. I apologize for not writing that on the slide. I'll say it again to make sure we all understand. When the company issues more shares, if you're a partner, okay, you own 10% of the company no matter what. I don't care how many shares are issued, okay, you will always own 10% of the company. That's the way it works. So instead of your shares being $10 a share, okay, I'm sorry, instead of your shares being $100 a share, now you have 20 shares at $50 a share. And because there's 200 shares, 20 shares divided by 200 shares equals 10%. All right.